Welcome to the Impact Over Optics podcast, a place where real progress shines beyond appearances and distractions. Here, voices from across industries come together to share wisdom, stories, and strategies that remind us what's possible when purpose leads the way. Because true progress is not measured by how it looks, but by the impact it leaves behind. Let's get started.
Welcome to Impact Over Optics, the podcast where we go beyond appearances and focus on what really moves the needle: authentic leadership, purposeful results, and lasting impact. I'm Dave Dieffenbach, and I'm joined today by
John Detweiler
and Jim Viscusi.
Well, let's get right to it, guys. Today, we want to talk about rituals and routines or habits that we have in work and life, and those things that have helped us stay grounded. And I'll start with you, Jim. Can you name a habit, routine, or something in your daily life that's really changed the way you live?
Yeah, I sure can. Something I've introduced into my life over the last couple of years has been a slower wake up. So what I used to do in the morning was I would get up and I would go to bed the night before and I would have my whole morning programmed. I would know that I was going to get up and work out. I would know that I had to work on this priority thing that was sitting at my desk. I had left it on the night before, and I would get up and jump right out of bed and get onto that. What I found that I was missing from that was the opportunity to wake up and sort of experience what my brain might have processed through the evening before. So when I wake up very intentionally slowly. I will lay in bed for a minute. I will try to say, so what did I think of? What went through my mind? What has come up in what I find now to be some of the most clear thinking moments I have in the whole day? Before any of the distraction starts, what did my brain feed to me? So now I have a morning journal prompt. So every morning my phone opens up a new prompt document. And it's actually based on some of the conversations you and I had, Dave, about Shahrazad. His
intelligence.
Yeah. So what I did was I made a set of prompts in a document, and then every morning at 5:30, my phone makes a new copy of that document dated for the day. So I can wake up in the morning and pick up my phone, and whatever's in my brain, the first thing I do is just dump that out. Sometimes I don't come back to it. Sometimes it's enough. Sometimes I come back to it later in the day. But that slower start to the morning took away some of that franticness, and I still feel very accomplished because I did that most important thing first before I did anything else.
That's great.
It's crazy. That resonates with me because I would say the same thing. The slow start for the day is really what does it for me. I am nowhere near as smart as you, so I don't actually have a prompt that comes up to try to download my brain, but that pace, that morning start that is slower is so much better. I think back, and I'm sure you guys share the same sentiment when we were young. You're in school, you wait for the alarm to go off, and then you hit snooze 100 million times, and then you just jump up, you throw your clothes on, and you run in. That has become the thought of that just makes me crazy because I don't want that. I want to be able to wake up, slow start, take my time, make some coffee, sit down together. It's an important thing. And that kind of transitioned into my daily ritual, which is now breakfast with my wife. We started that as something that we did on a daily basis to sort of re-gear and align for the day. We worked together, and how we kept it out of work was not focusing on work when we were at home, right? So we always said when we got home, when we got out of the car, we were done talking about work, right? So work was done. But breakfast the next morning was our time to realign. That's when we got together. We talked about the day ahead. We reviewed our schedules, what we have. So it's been a ritual that we've continued, and there's a lot less discussion about, the physical things we need to do at work and reviewing the budget and this. And now it's a lot more like, hey, what do you want to do tomorrow? Let's go shopping, like whatever. So definitely a ritual that when you say the slow start, that resonates a lot with me. How about you?
I mean, all the above. I enjoy the slow start. I actually have multiple answers like I usually do. One, when I start my morning, I try to start slow, but I also, and Shirzad Charmaine, I believe it's from Positive Intelligence, reminded me, like, don't start your day by looking at the email. Don't start your day by looking at social media. Don't read the news. I actually started a thing where I just read the comics online. I'll spend 10 minutes reading the comics in the morning, not every morning, but that will allow me to say, okay, if I need to have the device in my hand, I'm going to look at Garfield. I'm going to look at Peanuts. My friends know because they've gotten comics from me early in the morning that I'm starting my day that way. But the other sort of more important, just generalized thing is writing lists. And I'm a very just non-digital analog list writer. If I've got something on my mind, I just write it down. So first thing in the morning, sometimes I'm just making a list of the things that I can't stop thinking about. And, I was reading recently, psychology will talk about how just you're closing the loop by just writing it down. And by making a list, you're offloading that cognitive load burden of having something on your mind. So when it's on a list, I don't have to think about it anymore. So if I can't get away from this overburdened thinking brain, I just write it down. And sometimes I make the list of the things I need to do that day. Sometimes it's broader. Sometimes it's just a thought I can't get out of my head. Just by writing it down, allowing myself to. Writing lists has been, again, it's not a super high-tech solution, but it's been probably the most important thing that I've done probably since college that just keeps me most grounded in my morning is keeping lists, rewriting them every morning. The list of the most important things on my mind.
Yeah, I love that because what that really lets me think about is how you go from that morning start to clarity throughout your day, how you're trying to stay focused without ruminating, without being lost in that sort of constant over and over again. So I've been a very diligent follower of David Allen's Getting Things Done. And one of the things he talks a lot about is you have your list and your different metrics over time. But I really want to dig into that with you, John. What do you do to help maintain clarity throughout your day as events and things are coming at you as life does for all of us?
So this is an interesting one for me. And this is a practice that was given to me by somebody I've spoken about on this podcast before, but my current boss, his name is Chief Shane Wheeler. When Chief Wheeler came into the organization, one of the things that he became very quickly famous for was what everybody affectionately knows as a Wheeler walk. And that just means you're going out in the parking lot and you're going for a walk. You may be talking with somebody, you may be doing it to clear your brain, you may be doing it to prepare for something, it may be a million different things. But Dave, you and I have talked a lot about the importance of sunshine, right? Just getting out, getting the fresh air. So I think for me, when it comes to trying to find that clarity, especially when I feel cloudy, when the brain is starting to get a little bit of midday fog and I need to get out, get better focus and whatnot, a Wheeler walk is what I love to do. And I got to be honest with you, you know, we all live up here in the Northeast and it's getting cold. So Wheeler walks aren't as much fun as they once were. But the beautiful thing about that is the spring is right around the corner and we'll find a way to get back to that and do that. But yeah, the simple act of sort of changing your latitude, get out of the space that you're in, go get a deep breath, get some sunshine. It doesn't even have to be long. There's days that I've gone outside and I've walked 2 laps in the parking lot. It takes me like 3 minutes and then I'm back inside. It's just that act of sort of reset that I think is real good. So what do you do?
It's funny. I actually, I had a boss one time where we were both runners and couldn't find the time during the day to walk. And our one-on-ones are very important. It's the time to connect with your boss. And I used to write on a business card the topics I would have with him. And we would get dressed and we'd go for a run. And I would ask him questions as we were running. And it was productive in multiple ways, right? We're moving our hearts, we're moving our bodies, but we're also just talking, getting to know each other on a different level. Getting away from the office is so important. And I mean, it's the same hack as you. I know when I left corporate America to consult on my own, I felt like I was cheating when I would put my earbuds in and go for a walk and talk to a potential client. I couldn't believe that I was calling that work. And I would encourage all of us to think that we spend so much time in front of a computer, taking those micro breaks or even those extended breaks. If you can take a call on the road, if you can go to a coffee shop, change your scenery, or if you can take a call on a walk, do it, right? It's so different than just sitting in the same spot all day.
Can I interrupt real quick? I just got to ask a question. It's tough for you folks to see, but I'm not exactly the picture of fitness. So when I think of running, I think of it sounding like a wheezing cat about to die. How do you have a conversation while you're running?
We're not racing.
Oh, okay.
No, we're going for a nice casual run. But
all right. Yeah. That's fair. I should probably put that in. No, I won't.
Yeah, that's your zone 2. You got to get that zone 2 up to the point where you're actually getting some movement in.
That's fair. So what do you do?
One of the things I have to do is I often feel like I'm stuck at my desk. And I think a lot of people feel that way in that sense of I'm here in front of the computer. I'm doing in our culture, it's mostly remote work. So a lot of what we try to do has been actually mandated in some ways is you have to do a video call. So that takes away that walking call that you're talking about. The only thing that I found that I can do is I schedule in my week. I will go ahead and I will put in a 30-minute block each day that I'm not, say, leaving the house for a lunch or something like that. But usually at that time when the blood sugar is crashing, when you've been at the desk too long, when you're starting to feel that sleepiness, that's when I'll say at like 2 o'clock in the afternoon, put a 30-minute meeting in. And that 30-minute meeting is just me saying, I'm unavailable. I'm going to try and honor that as best I can. And that's when I'm going to leave my space, right? So hopefully not distracted, but definitely I get a prompt in the same way that our calendars prompt us all day long. I get a prompt that says, get up, get out. And the way that works for me is Sunday night. So I go through my week each week at the start of it on Sunday and I look at the tasking I need to do. But it's that on Sunday where I will say, okay, I'm not going out to lunch. It doesn't look like I'm leaving the house all day. Here's my 30-minute block that I have put in intentionally up front. That's my time to get away. And then to my biology, when am I going to be tired? What does my day look like? What other meetings do I have around that? What do I need to be fresh for later in the day that I want to prepare for? So that thinking takes the decision away from me later when I'm tired and emotional or trying to know that I'm cloudy. It's hard to know you're cloudy. So just assume it. Just know that you're going to get there and then try to break away from it that way.
So do you mind if I probe into that a little bit more?
Good.
Do you struggle to sort of realign or recalibrate in the middle of the day then? Like if you use these tools to sort of create your pathways, what happens when your day changes?
And it does happen a lot. Like, we all work in places where other people have ownership of our time, right? So sometimes somebody will say to me, we need to schedule a meeting. You're the only person who's blocked at this time, and it's my time to get away. Can you move that meeting? My answer is always, yes, I can move the meeting, but it's yes, I can move the meeting, and I'm going to go recalibrate something else later in the day,
Okay.
right? And I'd like to say these are inviolate things that I don't allow to change. In the reality, that's never going to be the case. But I have set the intention. I'm going to try to maintain the intention. And then when the day makes me shift it, I'm going to try my best to make sure that I also reset that intention too of giving myself that break somewhere else. Even if I can't give myself 30 minutes, I might cut my meeting beforehand 10 minutes short.
Okay.
Right. So yes, I'm still going to have that meeting, but I'm going to cut that meeting down a little bit. And I can tell people, listen, I've got to prepare for your next meeting. I need a few minutes in between. We're going to stop here at 10 minutes and we'll finish up, go from there.
Nice.
It's funny because when I was writing notes for this episode, I think twice I wrote down in different areas the idea of being a basketball player throwing elbows to create space.
Yeah.
Or I played soccer and you're shielding the ball away. I've become much more protective of my space. So when someone asks me to move something, or if they come late to a meeting, I'm pretty grumpy about it these days because I've set up the time for them. I've created the space just like you do, Jim. I started throwing elbows pretty quickly. I'm sorry that I can't do that, and we'll have to move it to tomorrow or something. I try to make sure it's not too punitive, but at the same time, our time and our boundaries, these rituals we're talking about, we're doing them for a reason. And when someone violates them, especially continuously, I'm not afraid to shield them away from the ball and get the yellow card.
So let me pull this back and say, where then, when we look at those things, is that a foul that we say stop, play, realign? Or do we say we just suck it up and move through it? Is it okay to call an audible?
I think it depends on the situation.
Okay.
For me, more and more, as I was kind of alluding to, is I tend to more often call that a foul and just take the ball and go home and say, okay, let's play again tomorrow. Obviously, there's different circumstances and hierarchies. If it's the CEO asking you something, you don't say, no way, yellow card, go sit on the bench.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I try to lean more towards that idea that my time and my space, the stuff I've created, and I've been very deliberate about it. It's not like I'm making it up on the fly. That crafted day, those rituals are pretty important. No one takes away my morning comics, right? I mean, I don't always do them, but no one takes it away. I choose to take it away. Those things are pretty important that I feel some sort of agency around that time. And I don't like it when someone comes along and says, you can't go running. We have a meeting. Okay, I've been planning to go running all day. If you take that away from me, I'm probably not as effective an employee after that.
Okay.
I'm probably not going to be I'm not going to show up in those meetings very clearly, not very clear-headed.
Okay.
Yeah. In my universe, the problem I run into is I'm dealing with people who are multi-time zone and sometimes multi-continent, right? So I have to look at that and say, I know it's going to be hard for this person to meet with me any later than 10 o'clock in their night. And I often have people on my teams who will start meetings with me at midnight their time, or 11:30 or 1:30 their time. They're getting on a call. So if that person needs to make a change, that to me, from a compassionate standpoint, I'm just like, okay, look, I'll flex to you because you're already bending over backwards just to try to talk to me in my time zone. The only element I just wanted to add to your answer is sometimes to me it's situational depending on the employee and their time. And I think many of our listeners are probably going to be in that same scenario where it's not just the guy in the office next to you, it's the guy in the office in Bangalore who you're trying to talk to.
I'm a nicer person than I'm sounding like. In practice, I'm probably more like you, Jim, but in reality, I want to believe I'm the person I tell everyone I am. No, it's on the calendar. Get out of here.
Yeah.
How about specifics to work? Like if we transition into habits, I know we've talked a lot about the morning slow starts, and we've talked about, the techniques we use in our schedule to make sure. What are some work specific things? And how about I'll set the stage for you guys and give you just an example of one of the things. Again, as a paramedic and working in EMS, One of the physical things that to me is pseudo-cathartic, but also very grounding is the act of washing my vehicle. Whether it's your command vehicle, whether it's an ambulance, whatever you're in for the day, there's something about going in and doing that job. And I think there's a part of me that says, when it comes to routines at work, I do things that are grounded to help remind me of who I actually am. Again, it's great to be an influencer. It's great to be, a motivator and all those things. But at the end of the day, we still have basic job duties that we're responsible for. We need to be able to connect with the people that follow us and everything else. So washing an ambulance is one of those weird things to me that I really connect with as a physical act, a ritual. Do you guys have anything specific like that?
I mean, I can't wash my computer. I'm thinking how jealous I am, right? I don't have a ritual like that. The rituals I have are less interesting, right? They're the exact same thing I said before, but they're work related, where I have sticky notes all over the place. And I'm regular in the morning going through them to say, which ones am I done with? Which ones are more important? And that is a ritual that's very personal to me. No one else sees it. I'm not on a board where everyone else can see it, but they're just my tasks, right? And so I'm, just like I said earlier, I'm making lists. When I sit in front of my computer for work, I'm doing the same thing. I'm moving things around. I'm not washing an ambulance, but I am sort of washing off yesterday and moving on to the next.
I like that.
That's clever. I like that washing off yesterday thing. For me, I talked about the fact that I look weekly and then daily at my tasking. So I think the biggest ritual for me is to sit down outside of my office space with a device and look at, where's my calendar for the week? Where are my goals for the week? Where are my meetings for the week? What actions are left over from the week before? At the same time, I'm putting in those breaks for myself. I'm also planning my day out. And for me, it's a very virtual thing because everything I do is on my laptop, but I do it in a way that makes me feel at the end of Sunday night, I have some agency in what my week is going to look like. I know that there are things going to own me during the week. But when I'm not being owned by them, I'm going to work on my own tasking going forward. That never lasts beyond Tuesday. Matter of fact, Monday is my hell day. Everybody knows I'm in meetings from the first time I sign onto my computer in the morning through late in the day because I'm trying to help direct or recover or get people in the right direction. So a lot of times Tuesday morning is the same sort of sit down and say, okay, I had a plan. The universe just broke my plan to death. All right, what am I doing next along the way? And for me, that sort of constant return to what's my goal, what's my tasking, what's important, what happened, who do I need to take care of? That's the ritual for me.
I wish I had that intentionality.
If I can, I don't know if this will tie everything together or not, but it does for me. I had a mentor one time in one of my companies who said, you need to spend more time with customers. And I said, well, have you seen my calendar? And he said, you need to make it a priority, right? You need to, if you're not visiting customers once a month, you're probably not right. If you're only visiting them once a quarter, you're probably even less right. And so I started to fall in this discipline of, in that role, it was really important to visit customers. So I would make sure I block out the time. And there it was actually, I had to throw elbows. I'm going out in the field and visiting customers. So if you have something that's really important to you, and the word you said, Jim, which is so important, is agency, don't give up that time, right? It's the only time you have. And if it's important to the role, you can't let another PowerPoint presentation or another priority of someone else take over. And I say that knowing that you're always going to have that conflict, but do your best to say, these are the things that are important to me. Look out forward. If I know these things are important to me, whether it be running, whether it be taking lunch every day, whether it be visiting clients, be really protective of it. And whether that's a ritual or not, you at least set boundaries early on that's important to you. And it's ultimately, I think it makes you a better employee. If you're doing the things that are important to you, it makes you more effective in the habits, inoculate other people too.
I love it.
Yeah.
Absolutely love it.
Well, I think we're wrapping up here, guys. We usually like to, at the end of this podcast, ask ourselves a question of, if the listeners take away one thing from this podcast, what would you think they should walk away with, Jim?
Yeah. Well, the one thing I would come away with is we talked about my taking a break and trying to be intentional about taking that break. But what I heard from you is this idea of how physiologically that changes your behavior, your output to things. And that will help me be more intentional about that break, because it sometimes feels selfish. I'm going to take a half an hour when I have so much going on. But what I keep hearing you say is, I'm a better employee by taking that break.
No doubt.
I'm going to be more combat effective. I'm going to be more useful. I'm going to be better able to respond to things because I've taken that second to rest my brain, to recharge myself and come forward. So for me, it even doubles down, not only on the ritual, but the affect.
That's great.
I think for me, intentionality is a big piece of that. Making sure you have your habits that keep you grounded.
Mm-hmm.
Do not expect anybody to create them for you. These are some of the most personal things in your life are your habits, your rituals that keep you grounded. So whatever they are, embrace them, love them, be intentional about how you schedule and,
Yep.
and use them.
Right. I mean, carry yellow cards around if you have to and throw them in people's face. I think the biggest one for me is that idea that you own the agency, you own your schedule. I know when we're employees of other people, we're working on the calendar. We have to work to some extent based on how they want you to work, but you have to maintain some agency. And Jim, I think you summarized basically what I would say here, which is it makes you a better rested, mindful person, better employee, better friend, all those things. Don't be ashamed to establish those habits. And I'll go back to the way I started early too. Don't start your day watching the news. Start your day slowly, intentionally, and just experience the things you enjoy, whether it be nature, before you jump in, because the world will come to you with the chaos. You don't have to go to it. But I just want to thank you all for joining, and thank you all for joining us on the Impact Over Optics podcast. I'm Dave Dieffenbach, and remember, authentic change always outlasts appearance. Until next time, lead with purpose and leave a real mark.
Thanks again for joining us on the Impact Over Optics podcast. We hope today's insights sparked fresh ideas and reminded you of the power of purpose-driven work. Please share this episode with others who believe in real change, and join us again as we continue to look beyond appearances and focus on the impact that truly lasts.